How to get a grade A in resistant materials exams. Okay, this video we're looking at the exam question, discuss the possible environmental impact of using plastics to manufacture products. It's worth 7 marks. The exam may have that question and it may change the wording to using woods or metals, but in this example we're looking at plastics. The first thing we do is try and understand the question. What is the question asking us to do? So we're going to look at the key words. First key word, discuss. Discuss means to talk about something, arguments for and against. Next key word is possible. Possible means something that could or may happen, doesn't mean it will. Next key word, environmental. Environmental means all about the world around us. Next key word, impact. Impact means the influence or the effect that it can have on us. Plastics or polymers are synthetic materials that lots of stuff is made out of. It's not wood, it's not metal. And finally, manufacture is to make, so to make something. So the question is asking us to talk about things that might, could or may happen to the world around us if we make things from plastic. So to do that, we're going to look at the life cycle, where we get it from, what we do with it, how we get rid of it once we've finished. The first stage is obtaining raw materials, so where we get the raw materials from. In the case of plastics, most of the time they come from oil. Next stage is processing raw materials, so turning them into something, so turning them into plastic, really turning the oil into plastic. The next stage is manufacturing, so making things from the plastic. Then the next stage is using the plastic products, and finally disposal, throwing away or whatever we do with it once we've finished. Stage 1, obtaining raw materials. Most plastics come from oil. Oil has to be drilled from under the ground, sometimes at sea, sometimes in land. The process uses a lot of energy. Producing that energy can contribute to global warming and also use up non-renewable energy sources. There can be accidents, so if there's an oil spill, that can have a devastating effect on the environment and a devastating effect on wildlife. The next stage is processing raw materials. So to process some raw materials, so to turn them from oil into plastic, they have to go through processing in an oil refinery. Oil refineries, these ugly looking things, use an awful lot of energy. Again, that energy has to come from somewhere, so from power stations which pollute, which often produce greenhouse gases, which contribute to global warming, and which may also use fuels which are non-renewable themselves. Manufacturing, when we make things, very similar to the oil refinery process in that it requires energy. That energy has to come from somewhere, so it may be non-renewable energy sources used to power the factories. Factories often produce pollutants and pollution and gases that can contribute to global warming. Using plastic products, not always a bad thing. In these two cases, if we use plastic in manufacturing transport, then the plastics will be lighter. The transport itself will be lighter. So if your car was made mostly from plastics, it would be lighter than if it was made from metal, similar to if this aeroplane had a lot of plastic parts. If something is lighter, it takes a lot less energy to move it around. So you would use a lot less fuel in your car if it was a lot lighter. We can use plastics to insulate our house, so in the cavity walls we can put types of plastics and foams that keep the warmth in. And in the electronics world, there's a lot of plastics and a lot of low energy products such as light emitting diodes, which last a lot longer than conventional bulbs. Packaging, lots and lots of things are packaged using plastics. Good things and bad things about them, really. The good things are lightweight, so transporting your stuff around the country, around the world, uses less energy than heavier packaging materials. But unfortunately, when we've finished with it, what we do with it can cause a problem. Which leads us on to the next stage, which is disposal. Plastics are not biodegradable. They don't rot away, so when we get rid of them, if we bury them in the ground, if we take them to the tip, they'll still be there in hundreds of years' time. That can have an impact on the environment itself, in looking at waste that might be floating around the world, waste that's picked up by wildlife. So this bird has eaten a cigarette lighter and a plastic bottle cap and all sorts of stuff. So not good for ecosystems, not good for habitats, not good for wildlife. Some plastics are recyclable, and you might have seen these signs on the bottom of a lot of the plastic products, and things can be made using recycled plastics. So that's not a bad thing, because at least we can use that material again. So looking at that question and what it's asked you to do, discuss the possible environmental impact of using plastics to manufacture products, 7 marks. You have to make 7 different points. So if you are talking about obtaining raw materials, you can talk about the use of energy, non-renewable energies, how that can affect the greenhouse effect by producing greenhouse gases, pollution, visual pollution. So that's the ugly oil rigs that might be sat in the middle of a beautiful ocean. Habitat loss, damage to ecosystems. Processing raw materials, the same as above really. Again, energy use, non-renewable energy, producing greenhouse gases, contributing to pollution in the atmosphere, visual pollution, habitat loss, ecosystem. Manufacturing, same as above. Although one thing we didn't mention is that when things are made from plastics, they are usually moulded, and when we mould things, we get very little waste. Use, some benefits in using plastics in that they are lightweight, they're easier to transport, and then have less energy use as a result of that. And disposal, so they're not biodegradable, they contribute to landfill, but where recycling does happen, at least we can reuse those plastics and turn them into another product. Finally, there's one more thing which we need to mention. Some plastics don't come from oil, they come from plant products, and these are bioplastics. Bioplastics require a lot less energy to manufacture them. When they grow, they absorb carbon dioxide, the plants absorb carbon dioxide, they release oxygen into the atmosphere, so they don't contribute to global warming. Some bioplastics are biodegradable, not all. Bioplastics are used a lot in the manufacture of catering stuff, cups, knives, forks, beakers, that kind of thing, and also the shopping bags that you get from supermarkets.